Hey guys, welcome back. It's been kind of a busy week. Had lots of comments on the comment forum. Appreciate that. Want to give a shout out to some of my homies about Drama for Real, Rosalia, Drew Tang, TheNickFloShow. He's got a new channel going. Show him some support. Prime Reaper, Luke Garside, Noah Ludford, Dee, Tony Cookson, Malcolm Scally, Lurking Jenny, Melon from Finland. Appreciate it, guys. Thanks for the support. It's great to have you guys commenting and checking my stuff out and coming up with ideas and suggestions. Makes it a lot more fun. Makes it fun for all of us. So that's pretty cool, and I appreciate it. One thing that got everybody talking this week was I did a brief segment on what's inside a stronghold bank. People started sharing some of their stories about guilds and some positive and negative things about them. So I thought I'd cover that a little bit more. If you're new to the game, or fairly new to the game, and haven't yet been invited to a guild, or haven't really seen a reason why, there certainly is a lot of game content that can keep you from needing to join one. There's lots of stuff to do, but there are some basic reasons to join one that can be pretty helpful to you. One of the things you can do is you can get access to different types of gear that you wouldn't normally get from some of the other stores throughout the realms. For instance, you can get some pretty cool PvP supplies, PvE supplies, like this Dragonflight stuff. If you've ever seen players wearing this stuff and wondered where they get it, well, this is where they can get it. It's an item 140 level armor, which is pretty cool. You also have heroic encounters in the stronghold. You can get different drops and you'll get it compared to other areas in the game. Some of it you can sell off for some Master Diamonds, which is pretty cool. There's a whole thing. I'll probably do another segment on that because there are a number of other things you can do there. So if you're not already in a guild, or maybe you're thinking about switching a guild, maybe somebody invited you and you really didn't pay too much attention to what happened, you just saw a message pop up and decided, sure, why not, and joined it. It's pretty easy to get into one, really. You can always go to any zone. You can go into Protector's Enclave or wherever you happen to be in the map. Okay, for you PC players, hit your O key on your keyboard and go to Find Guild. For you console players out there, if you please leave a message in the comment section for our console players as to where they can find it. There you go. You just click on Find Guild and you have guilds that pop up. Sometimes they'll leave little messages here as to whether they're recruiting or not. Recruiting. If you prefer a different language, you go to Languages and select that. Sometimes when they set up the guild, they'll have certain things that they want. Some are elite, where they only want very advanced players. Some are basic, some really don't care. Casual's pretty good for me. So have social group. So you can go into mature, newbies, serious gamers, social, voice chatting, gender, if you have a preference there. Type of race, maybe you just want to hang with elves, you can select that, and time zones too. Maybe you want to get serious about it and you only want people that might be playing during your normal hours. You can search that way. Now, something you want to do is, maybe you don't care what kind of guild you're in, but a lot of times you will find it makes a difference. So what you kind of want to do is kind of go over the recruiting message there, highlight that if they happen to have one, and it gives you a little summary of what they expect from their members. Maybe if they have some rules you don't care for, maybe they have no rules at all, maybe you do want some boundaries for some of the players. But that'll give you a quick look at what they expect from you and what's expected of you too. We had some comments. Some guilds are very serious and they expect you to contribute certain things. You can double click on that message, by the way, too, and it'll give you more information. So if you see one that looks pretty good for you, again, this one looks like they went German, English, casual gamers, normal difficulty. So they kind of give you a full breakdown on there. Looks like they're pretty open. They like voice chat. And they also will tell you who's online at the time. They can give permissions to invite to a guild. So you can send them a PM, right click on the name and send a private message. And you can request to join the guild that way. Another thing you can do, which is real easy, if you're in Protector's Enclave or any zone, just go in the regular zone chat and you can put a message looking for a guild. Please respond, and somebody's likely to respond pretty quickly. Guilds are oftentimes looking to recruit new members. just to keep the numbers up, and it's good to have helpful people around. But ask some questions of them, maybe find out whether they have any restrictions, maybe age restrictions, language restrictions, whatever preferences you have. If they don't have anything posted on their message, or you can't find the guild for some reason, every now and then it won't show up on a search. If you happen to find one you like, maybe you remembered it from a week ago or something, and you type it in the search, sometimes it won't pop up for different reasons, technical difficulties, and that's fine. You can just put a message up there, and somebody's very likely to respond to it very quickly, and away you go. Or maybe you play with some players in the open public queue when you queue up for a skirmish or dungeon, and you happen to like their play style. Go ahead and send them a private message, ask if they're in the guild and what guild it is. If for some reason it's not showing up under their name, usually it will show you what guild they're affiliated with as you play, but sometimes I know it won't. So you can always PM somebody and ask if they're in one, and ask how you can join. People are usually pretty friendly that way. I said you could go into the zone chat. I'm assuming you know what that is, but maybe you don't. Click on your little box down at the bottom of the screen and go ahead and click on zone, and that'll put out a general announcement that it'll show up, and everybody that's in that particular instance of the zone, whatever it is you have to say, it will show up. So that's what I meant by that, if you did not know. Now, some things you get from joining a guild. If you're not very familiar with the game, you have experienced players there that will often be more than happy to answer whatever questions you have, maybe where to find certain things, or how to work the auction house, or you can come watch my videos. That's always a great way to learn about different things, different aspects of the game. But oftentimes you'll run into some of the, especially when you get to epic level dungeons, you can't join it without a party. Sometimes it gets frustrating when you're in the public queues because maybe your cleric leaves in the middle of a battle. That's a pretty common thing. Healers seem to, for whatever reason, leave in the middle of an epic dungeon, and you're already into it for some time, and then you can't finish it because you don't have a healer. Everybody keeps getting killed, and it's very frustrating. Usually with a guild, you know that you have reliable players, and there's a little bit of an embarrassment factor. They don't want to keep dropping out of big dungeons and skirmishes because, well, it looks bad for them, and they're likely to get kicked out. And also you also have players with consistent gear scores and stuff too. You know what you're getting when you get into them. It makes it much nicer than doing public queue dungeons and skirmishes. And it's okay to tell people you're new to the game. I mean, they can tell if they look at your character, and do an inspection on your character with your item level is, for the most part, unless you're starting a new one and you've been in the game for a while, then they wouldn't know that. But for the most part, people are pretty good about helping you out if you have questions. It's okay to let everybody know you're new too, and that's one thing with a guild. Usually they will help you without getting nasty about it, so I know that's important to some people. And sometimes you can get guidance on your character development. Different things, maybe, especially if you're in a supporting class, they can be a little trickier to play than a pure DPS class or damage per second class. And there's a lot to it. And a lot of times your experienced players will know more about it and maybe can give you some different tips on where to get some of the items you need, or give you some advice on what kind of items you need specific to your character. That being said, there are a couple things that are generally accepted within guilds too. One thing that is important for a lot of guilds, it seems like, is when you get in, especially when you're new, don't start asking for stuff right away. Like, don't ask for gold, don't ask for astral diamonds from other players. They don't usually want to be bothered with that. You don't want to appear to be a mooch either. They work hard doing their grinding and playing and figuring out their strategies for stuff, and they don't want to be hassled by somebody asking for stuff. It's okay if you want to ask how to get stuff. They can have some advice for you in that regard, maybe how to get ID or AD rather, or specific items for your character that you're interested in, whether it be companions or armor or weapons. And sometimes people even have an extra one and will give it to you at that point, and that's fine if they want to do that, but don't keep asking and spamming people about it, because you're likely to get yourself kicked. Another thing not to do is don't do a lot of swearing, and don't be obnoxious. It is a game, but sometimes there are kids playing. Also check your guild rules. Some don't care, and if that's for you, that's fine. Some guilds will restrict age for that reason, but it's generally best just to be polite to your guild teammates. They are teammates, and they are there pretty much to help each other in a lot of cases if you need help, and it makes the experience a good one for everybody. So keep that in mind. Just like you behave in real life, conduct yourself accordingly, but double check those guild rules. Like I said, some guilds it may not matter, but that's up to you if you're comfortable with that. Some topics to stay away from are, just like real life again, religion, politics, things that get people ticked off. It's just generally not a good idea to get into that, whether you're on an open mic or whether you're typing into the chat box. It just gets people worked up, and you're all here to have fun, and that'll keep you out of trouble. Those are just some pointers for you. Hopefully that helps. One other quick thing to point out too, I had some discussion about this with a couple of different players. I happen to be one. I am in a guild, but I do a lot of my stuff solo. Maybe I'm often making videos and recording, or I just have other stuff going on, and so I don't do a lot of group things. I stay out of the chat fairly frequently, but I do try to keep an eye on it in case somebody really needs something or has a question. I try not to be rude and ignore them, but I do miss it frequently because I'm busy doing my thing. So for you solo players, guild can be useful that way. I know certainly mine is. It's a casual guild, and they understand I'm not always there for a bunch of things. Sometimes I'll help out with dragon fights and things like that, and I'd mentioned that in a previous video, but there are advantages to being a solo player and still joining a guild. You don't have to get engaged in every conversation. People will pick up that habit pretty quickly. You might get a few messages of welcome at the beginning, but if you aren't involved in the chat, then people will not chat with you, and they won't keep spamming for your attention. Generally, they'll get the idea pretty well. Or you could let people know, I'm just here to play solo for the most part, but you want to take in some of these guild benefits. You can let them know when you join, or you can put a message out every now and then, or put in your little profile once you join the guild. You go to your roster here, you can put a little member comment there so everybody can kind of see that anytime they're in there. Leave me alone. You can put in there or whatever, or I don't have time to talk. Whatever works for you. Now I wanted to touch on a private message. If you don't know how to do that and you're very new, what you do, you go down into your chat box, and if you see a name popping up, I don't want to pop on somebody's name here, but you just right click on the name and it will give you their handle, and you can just right click and then it'll turn a different color from your standard colors, and you can type a little message in the box to get their attention. If you didn't know that, and don't be insulted if they don't respond back right away. Maybe they're being rude, but also sometimes they're just playing and they don't see it. That happens to me frequently, so don't get your feelings hurt if somebody doesn't respond right away. Maybe try them again if it's a guild you're really interested in. Keep trying. Somebody's going to get back to you. Or, like I said, go to see who's at that guild, who's able to do recruits at that moment, and you can contact them the same way. Like I'll click on this one right here. So it shows who the guild officer is. I can right click, do a private message tell right there, and it'll get them a message. They're in the game, they're live and available, and there you go. Hope you enjoyed that, guys. There's a lot more to it. I just wanted to hit some highlights. Again, it got a lot of discussion this week, and I thought maybe I ought to cover that in a little bit more detail. I like to do things for newer players or players that might be exploring different options of the game that they haven't considered before. I'm sure there's some things I'm missing in there, and feel free to comment on it. It won't be in. One last quick reason to join a guild is for your guild boons. Click on your character sheet and go to boons and go down to, I know I covered this in the last video, but I thought I'd mention it again in case for those of you who haven't seen the last one. But here you go. This guild, I'm in kind of a mid-range guild right now, but we have some different boons that are available that I can select, which is pretty cool. So that is another big reason for joining a guild. These are permanent boons, kind of like your other boons. They just happen to come with joining the guild. Different levels of guilds will give you different types of boons. So that's another thing to consider. Final thought on this: if you hate the one you join, all you have to do is quit. So it's easy enough to move on. So if somebody does something or makes comments that makes you uncomfortable, just go. You don't even have to say anything. You can if you want, but you can just leave, and usually you don't have any hard feelings over it. So thanks for watching. Please comment, like, share, and subscribe.